Ladies and gentlemen, from the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace and Justice, Deacon Gerald Celente.
Hello, everyone. This is Deacon Celente of the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. Freedom? Peace? Forget about it. Justice? What are you talking about? All that's gone. Of course, we believe in it. And of course, this is the Christmas holiday. But hey, you look at the cover of this week's Trends Journal, Prince of Peace? No peace on earth. Hey, how are those holiday sales doing? Where are all the religions that believe in Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace? How come they're not out there calling for peace? As Israel keeps slaughtering tens of thousands of innocent Palestinian people under the line that we're doing this to get Hamas. And of course, now the information's out that the Hamas leaders are all gone. They're bombing this place, destroying it. Where is the outrage from the Seventh-day Adventists? Are you waiting for the eighth day? Where are the Baptists, the Episcopalians, the Mormons, the Lutherans, the Catholics, the Jews? A lot of Jews are protesting probably more than anybody else. That's right. Jewish Voice for Peace. They're doing major protests against this. Where are all the religions? How come they're not out here? And it's Christmas time, celebration of the Prince of Peace. This is serious what's going on. In Saturday's CNN, barely any coverage about the Israel war. And had a little article down the side, what we're covering here. Doctors Without Borders have condemned the UN Security Council, calling for pauses in fighting between Israel and Hamas to allow more aid into Gaza as, quote, nearly meaningless. Israeli ground forces continue. At least 18 people were killed in Israeli strikes in central Gaza. And according to other information, 76 people from one family, all related, bombed to death yesterday. The death toll in Gaza has surpassed 20,000. But here's how they, again, tiny little article, but a big article when you go to the New York Times. Russia attack takes big toll, even as Kyiv hits missiles. The scale of the damage was evident, you ready? In one building. Nearly all the windows were blown out. Several cars charred. The mayor of Kyiv said that 20 of the wounded have been hospitalized in the city, including 2 children. Big news. One of the buildings damaged. Depending on whose numbers you're looking at, over 100,000 buildings have been destroyed in Gaza. One building, and this is big news. 20 of the wounded have been hospitalized? No, Israel's bombing the hospitals. They could do anything that they want. The president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, said God gave them this land. How about if I, the deacon of the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice, do not believe in your God? Oh, you call me an anti-Semite because I don't believe in your God? How dare you? God didn't give you this land. No. The Balfour Declaration in 1917, that was the beginning of what gave you this land, when His Majesty's government, a murderer, the sun never sets on the British Empire, said that they will create Israel, Jewish people can move into Palestine. That's right. Who are they to say that? God gave you this land? No. The United Nations gave you this land. A bunch of politicians decided, here's some money. Give us this land. We'll tell you what to do. You have no right to this land. Oh, about the money? This is from Mint Press. Not my language, theirs. Blood money. The top 10 politicians taking the most Israeli lobbying cash. This was published this past Wednesday. Joe Biden, $4,346,000 so far. Robert Mendez, $2,483,000. Mitch McConnell, just about $2 million. Yeah. Chucky Schumer, $1.725 million. Steny Hoyer, $1.62 million. Teddy Cruz, an arrogant little boy, $1.3 million. Ron Wyden, $1.28 million. Dick Durbin, $1.126 million. Josh Gottheimer, $1.1 million. Chantel Brown, $1 million. On and on, on and on and on. So, article out in The Guardian on Saturday. Crowdfunding site Israel Gives allows U.S. residents to donate millions to paramilitary groups, IDF units, this is Israeli Defense Force, and settlers. Isn't settlers a nice word? Settlers, stealing land illegally in violation of the Geneva Convention and Article 242 of the United Nations. United Nothings. And The Guardian. An Israeli crowdfunding platform, Israel Gives, has allowed U.S. residents to donate millions of dollars since October 7th to causes including illegal West Bank settlements, paramilitary groups, and Israel Defense Force units currently operating in Gaza and in the occupied West Bank. Illegal Israeli troops in the West Bank and Gaza, and then when you fight back against the illegal occupiers, you're called a militant. Yeah, just like when America goes over to Afghanistan, Iraq, any other country, slaughters the people, and the people fighting back are terrorists and militants. While contributions from wealthy U.S. nonprofits or individuals to illegal settlements, remember this is from The Guardian, have been previously reported, Israel Gives established crowdfunding platforms attached to an international network of linked nonprofits that allow donors in the U.S. and beyond to claim tax deductions on funds sustaining war and settlements in the occupied territories. And this goes on. This is from Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, and from Amir Haas. The Gaza Strip is gradually being erased, along with its families, its people, its children, their smiles and laughter. What enables the majority of Jewish Israelis to support the systematic and mass erasure? What enables them to see it as only suitable response to the massacre the Hamas and its accomplices perpetrated, to the military humiliation of Israel, and the indescribable suffering of the hostages, the wounded, the survivors, their families, and the families of hundreds killed? Israeli military is erasing the streets of Gaza cities and the alleys of its refugee camps. It's erasing Gaza's beaches, promenades, villages, and its unexpected yet existing agricultural areas. It is erasing its cultural institutions, universities, and archaeological sites. It's also erasing their hospitals, their schools, their mosques, and churches. Hamas's military infrastructure has been destroyed and may be destroyed entirely. Thousands of its armed men are being killed and will be killed. But the organization will be rebuilt, and its leaders will flourish in every community and place where the erasure of Gaza continues. What enables the majority of Jewish Israelis to remain unshocked by the fact that in about 2 months we've killed around 7,000 children with the help of America's improved bombs? It goes on and on. But you're not allowed to say anything about this because you're called an anti-Semite. It has nothing to do with being an anti-Semite, and the leaders of Israel are not Semitic. The Palestinians are Semites. The leaders of Israel from Ben Gurion forward are Ashkenazi Jews from northeastern Turkish region. They are not Semites. I'm not an anti-American when I condemn American wars. I am anti-murderers of innocent people. But they do this to shut you up because, again, I just read you some of the money that controls America. Ready? Newspaper apologizes, you have to look at this photo, for anti-Semitic Zelensky cartoon. This is this week. The Toronto Sun has apologized for publishing a cartoon depicting Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky stealing a wallet from U.S. President Joe Biden's back pocket. Canadian Prime Minister, that arrogant little boy, that daddy's boy, who locked down the place, stole people's money for not wanting to get vaccinated, the truckers, that guy, and called an emergency law to do that. Call the cartoon anti-Semitic. Published on Wednesday, the cartoon showed Zelensky lifting the billfold from Biden's trousers as the pair walked arm in arm. Zelensky traveled to Washington to plead with lawmakers to pass a bill containing more than $60 billion in military aid. We've given already $130 billion as America rots in front of your eyes, the homeless, the infrastructure rotting, the immigrant crisis. If passed, it would bring the total amount of military and economic aid allocated to Kyiv to more than $170 billion since February 2022. The Ukrainian Foundation director, blah, 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 they called it Ukraine, anti-Semitic stereotypes. All right. Let's suppose Zelensky wasn't Jewish, and let's say he was an Italian, and he's doing that cartoon, and we're supporting, let's say, Italy's in a war. We're giving them money. Would they call that anti-Italian? No. No. This has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. But that's all they sell. And been selling it for a long time. This is an article from 10 years ago, 2000 and 13. Rupert Murdoch, Gerald Scarfe, and why, as a Jew, I'm dismayed by the Jewish lobbyist outrage. And this is by Simon Kellner. I would like to be emailed about offers, events, and this is from The Independent. It was Woody Allen, appropriately enough, who's best articulated my relationship to Jewish religion. I'm not a real Jew, he said. I'm Jew-ish. Although I was born Jewish, my parents, this is again his language from Simon Kellner. I was born Jewish. My parents were not so much liberal and permissive when it came to religious observance. And I've never really regarded my faith as part of my identity. I always remember, he goes on to say, I would never be a presumptuous, I should read this. I always remember the late writer and journalist John Diamond being interviewed about his Jewishness. What does being Jewish mean to you? He was asked. Well, he responded hesitantly, I suppose it's about being funny and clever. I would never be as presumptuous as that. But do I know what, for me, being Jewish doesn't mean? It means not getting offended every time someone makes a critical remark about the policies of the Israeli government. Remember, this is 2013. Demeaning it to be an attack on all Jewish people and hurling accusations of anti-Semitism. My position on the politics of the Middle East is neither unusual or contradictory. I believe that the state of Israel has a right to exist, but I think the monstrous injustice that has been visited on Palestinian people shames the civilized world. So I am afraid I see any attack on Israeli actions through this particular prism. I've been accused of being a self-hating Jew more times than I can remember. My friend, the novelist Howard Jacobson, was indignant about this. Him, he said, a self-hating Jew? Certainly not. He loves himself. Anyway, all these issues have come to the forefront in recent days as I observed the minor controversy over a cartoon by the veteran draftsman Carl Scarfe in the latest issue of the Sunday Times. It depicted, look at this cartoon. Remember, this is 2013, and this is the same Prime Minister Netanyahu that's in office now. It depicted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu building a wall, and squeezed between the bricks are Palestinian bodies. He is using blood to hold them together. And the caption of the drawing is, will cementing the peace continue? The cartoon was published on Holocaust Memorial Day. And he goes on to say how it was taken down. Rupert Murdoch said it never should have been put up. How dare, again, anytime this is the Netanyahu that passed the Judicial Reform Act that was pushing it through, that there were 39 weeks of protests going on. Oh, and from that same Isaac Herzog, who said God gave us this land, said there was a civil war going on in Israel. That's right, up until October 7th when Hamas attacked. There was a civil war, but when all else fails, they take it to war. And now it's totally forgotten. That is the same Benjamin Netanyahu, who, since he became prime minister a year ago, in his extreme right-wing government, slaughtering, destroying Palestinians in the West Bank, all leading up to this. But that's not reported. And you're not allowed to say that because you're blacklisted from the American media. We are at a very critical time. The United States is now warning, again, not my language, but theirs. Newly declassified U.S. intelligence suggests that Iran has been, quote, deeply involved in planning attacks in the Red Sea. Houthi rebels have launched over 100 attacks against about a dozen commercial and merchant ships. They're blaming Iran. This is Houthis from Yemen, who the murderer lover, who's America's U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. My daddy was an ambassador. My uncle was an ambassador. Yeah, that Anthony Blinken. A little boy went to Dalton, I went to Harvard. I'm better than everybody else. Not a war that he didn't love since he's been in the government since 1994. Was sent over by Barack Obama, the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, when the Yemen war broke out, to give security and intelligence information to Saudi Arabia to help defeat the Houthis. That's okay. What business does America have to do with this? And of course, people don't know that when they created Saudi Arabia in 1934, the first thing they did was try to attack the Houthis to take more land in Yemen. So now they're dragging Iran into this war. If Iran gets dragged into this war, I probably won't be seeing you next year at this time because we will be dissolved in a nuclear annihilation. There are about 16 million Jewish people on the planet of 8 billion. There are about 2 billion Muslims, Arabs, Muslims. 2 billion against 8 million? 16 million? Who wins? Who wins? And there's the Samson option by Israel. If they lose, they go nuclear. We need peace on earth. Please do all you can to support us and donate to the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice so we can keep pushing forward for more peace on earth, goodwill to all. Thank you very much for tuning in. And may your God bless you. And amen and amen.